Wow, that's like a really hard cut to get this party started. Hello and welcome everybody to today's Friday Focus, experimenting with the software on that intro video. So it's a little bit cleaner, but it's like a hard cut at the end. I don't have like a easy way. It just boom, we're on screen. So that's fine. We have a lot to get through. So my trusty co-host is here. How are we doing, Mr. Vrobel?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm living the dream, man. It's been a crazy, fun week. On the photography side, I've been teaching myself a little bit of astro, doing some cool
Ooh.
stuff. Been up till like 2 o'clock in the morning the last 2 nights with my friend Jim Summers. He came down to my neck of the woods. But yeah, it's been fun. And then on the personal note, my wallet got stolen out of my car, so I've been dealing with police reports and
Oh
super
no.
sleuthing and like yeah. So
Uh,
I thought it was like I'm totally chill with like online fraud. Like it happens. You know what I mean? Like whatever. Like, but when you're in my house or like in my driveway, like, yeah, no, that makes me pretty uneasy. So that's what my week has been. But it's fun. It's a Friday Focus, and we can focus on other things besides what's going on, in the crazy world, from police reports to, now election time and all the crazy COVID stuff. That's not what we're here to talk about. No. We are here to talk about the photography news. So I want to say hello to a few of our friends here. Hello, Jim Summers. Finally, it's Friday. Checking in from sunny Wadsworth, Ohio. Good to see you. It's been approximately 10 hours since I saw you last. TJ, your intro makes me want to go ride all the roller coasters. I'm the same way, especially with Cedar Point right here. I mean, Cedar Point's like maybe 40 minutes from us right here. And that is America's roller coaster, people. I mean, there is a lot of roller coasters there. I would love to be going and just taking the day. But no, again, I'm going to keep us focused because we have a lot to get through with all of our news. I mean, there is seriously, there's so much stuff to cover this week. I do want to start off by giving a shout out, though, to our creator of the week. And that is, this photo is actually taken on one of our photo walks this week for the Photo Fest. And I just love that, there's this young girl just playing in a puddle. I mean, I just love the black and white. I love the lines in this. Honestly, like the circles, like even with her footsteps, coming away. I think it's just a really, really cool image. So Howard Kimmel, our creator of the week, go and do yourself a favor and follow him on Instagram. It is at Hojo3636. But again, I just loved this photo. I think it's just a cool photo. Moving on, we are getting ready to launch, or not launch, we're recording this week. Yes, we are recording an episode of the Talking Pixels podcast this week, and it's actually with Isaac Coffey, one of our presenters that we had for Pixel Photo Fest, and we're going to kind of talk about his journey and how he started his studio, the things that he learned along the way, so stay tuned for that. So I want to cover a couple of things here at the store. We are open from 10 to 7 Monday through Friday and 10 to 5 on Saturday. And we're still offering curbside pickup, free shipping on thousands of items on our website. And if you do come into the store, I want you guys to know that we are doing our best to keep everything so fresh and so clean. We're disinfecting stuff. We're making sure, we have hand sanitizer there, making sure everybody's staying nice and healthy, keeping the 6 feet away from people. Again, we're just trying to do our part to make sure it's a comfortable shopping experience. And like I said, if you don't feel comfortable coming in the store, that's totally fine. We do have that customer pickup, that curbside pickup available as well. So what are our goals for today? Number one is to update you on the photography related news that you may have missed this week. Again, I say this at the top of every show, but the nightly news doesn't tend to cover what Fuji and Nikon and Ricoh are doing this week. That's our job. Mike and I put that on our shoulders to bring that to you guys and just talk about the trends that are going on. Also, it's our goal to pull you away from the fear, uncertainty, and doubt and police reports and your wallet being stolen, and pull you away from all that craziness and bring you back into the world of photography and update you on what's going on. Even if it is for only an hour on a Friday, I feel like that, just being pulled away and de-stressing is something that we all need to do. And then finally, we have an inspiration section in here just to get you motivated to try something new. And there's actually some really, really cool kind of DIY things that we're going to be talking about today, and some awesome photographers. I mean, just to give you a preview, it involves sharks, meat, and a Sharknado. I promise. That is, we're going to have a whole article about that. So,
and way out of our comfort zones.
Yes, that is way out of my comfort zone for sure. So this is at the top of the news. We got earlier this week, we got a notification that there is going to be a live stream coming on September 7th. And this is the Lumix S5. And Panasonic has this up on their website. And they're saying moving images forward. So what are your thoughts on this, Mike? I mean, I'm just looking at this picture that we have up on the screen. It looks like a pretty small body. I mean, it's hard to say like, width and whatnot. But again, I'm interested in what they're gonna do here. I'm interested that they're putting out another, L mount camera for the, as you say. I'll let you say the L mount Alliance. I know you find a lot of joy in doing that.
Yes, the L mount Alliance is growing with this new camera release, and I'm curious to see where they're going with this. Is this a Canon RP competitor? Is this a Sony A7 III competitor? Is it somewhere between those two? Or I mean, I'm assuming their S1H, their top of the line, is safe for now. But what do they want to do with this? And there's a lot of rumors going around, a little peek behind the curtain, because TJ used to work for Panasonic. We're not going to talk about all the rumors we're hearing. The one rumor I did want to bring out, though, because it's kind of non-specific, and I don't think I'll get TJ in any trouble, is there is a rumor that they have a new lens roadmap coming with this camera. And I am as interested in that as I am in the camera itself, because as I've said often on this podcast, the lenses are what make the system. And as long as they keep the L mount Alliance list of lenses growing, that's good for them too.
Absolutely. And I think that's what this system needs is, they need to show users that there is a future with this lineup, with the L mount, with, Leica, with Sigma, with Panasonic, that if they want users to adopt this, they have to show that there's a path for getting the lenses that they need and what they want. And it was interesting. Eeyore actually was shooting. We had a case of L mount glass for our photo walks, and honestly, that was kind of cool to see, like that the L mount has come this far since even I was at Panasonic. That now we have loaner cases because these cameras are out in the wild and people want to try, all that awesome Sigma glass. And again, thank you Sigma for sending all that 4-Pixel Photo Fest. But again, he got to shoot some Astro with it. I mean, great results from, that L mount glass. So I think, like you said, having a roadmap out there is something that, the manufacturers really need to get behind, just to assure users, hey, this is here to stay.
Yep.
So what is not here to stay is your data. If you are using Adobe Lightroom for mobile on iOS and iPadOS, it sounds like Android users are fine. But if you are an Android user out there, let this be a warning to you. So it looks like they suffered a little bit of data loss with this last update. And I believe it was on Monday that this update got pushed out. So tell us a little bit about who's affected by this, Mike.
Yeah, this is bad news. And just as a side note, it's not bad news about Canon. It must be a different week than the one we've been having the last few weeks.
Exactly.
But so Lightroom Mobile, my impression from using it on trips and vacations and things like that is it was designed to work with Adobe Cloud. And that's where this problem comes in, is it looks like Adobe assumed you would be using it with Adobe Cloud and maybe didn't test it as well as they should have, because when the update happened to, I think it's version 5.4.0 on Monday, if you had any photos that weren't synced to Adobe Cloud, poof, they're gone. And there is no way to get them back unless you were lucky enough to have a backup of your iPhone or your iPad. And this is really bad news. And I am seeing online a lot of photographers who just didn't put their stuff in Adobe Cloud. They were using Lightroom for mobile only on their device, and all their photos gone. And Adobe says no way to get them back unless you have an iCloud backup. And then whenever the last time you ran an iCloud backup or a backup of your device, your iPhone or your iPad, anything that is in that backup, you might be able to recover by restoring that backup and making sure you immediately upgrade to the 5.4.1 version of Lightroom that does not have this problem. If now that said, the kind of person who wouldn't be using Adobe Cloud, maybe they're the kind of person who wouldn't be using iCloud either. And that's how you get the automatic backups. So unless you're the kind of person who also plugs your phone in and digs through iTunes until you find the backup button, this could be really bad for you. And this is a real black eye for Adobe. I mean, I really love their syncing through Adobe Cloud. I went on a trip to Venice a year ago, maybe 2 years now, and it was the best way I found to sync the photos back home so I would have a backup. And after seeing this, I'm a little nervous. If the Wi-Fi connections were spotty, the cell phone connections were spotty, if this update had managed to come in before my pictures sync to the cloud, I would have lost them. Now, I always have multiple memory cards with the backups. I don't wipe the memory cards until I get home, and I'm sure I've got the pictures. So backups. Yeah, make
and
sure you've got multiple copies.
Your data is only as good as your last backup. Definitely a cautionary tale. And that is so true. I mean, making sure that, and again, I want to preface this by saying, not everybody that has, iOS and that's using Lightroom on iOS is affected. Again, if you had Creative Cloud syncing turned on, then, and you're using the Adobe Cloud, then you're fine. So don't think that, definitely check to make sure, but this doesn't affect everything. This is a kind of a smaller niche area of people that did not use, they just used Adobe without having like that subscription or using the Creative Cloud. So again, just double check, make sure you have all your stuff backed up, especially if you're using that iOS and the iPad OS versions of Lightroom for mobile. And again, this is tough for me because I always do recommend for photographers, like I do, I think that Lightroom and the sync, it does a really good job. It solves a lot of problems. The price isn't that bad. But there's a whole tribe of people online that are very anti-Adobe. And this definitely is a win in their column. Unfortunately, like you said, a black eye for Adobe going forward. So
just double check. Pitchforks and the torches will be out today online.
Absolutely. And I do have the quintessential as we move on to our next one. So Google Images is adding a licensable badge to help photographers sell their photos. So this one was interesting to me. I think this is awesome for photographers. Like for me, I've licensed photos before. And I was actually talking to Jim Summers a little bit. He had used, they had used one of his photos for the Ohio Turnpike Commission. And something like this, I think, just opens this up to a lot more photographers going through and setting this up on your photos. It's a great way to, get your photos out there and show up in the Google algorithm, which is probably one of the top image search engines in the world, and to be able to be found. I think that this is, just an easy way for you, not having to go through all these, micro stock, pages, or, sharing it on your own website. The work that you would have to do in SEO in order to get your photos in front of the right user. It would be a full-time job. Whereas this now, it makes it so you can actually license that photo to people that want to use it for advertising purposes. So I think I can't think of a way to make this a bad thing. I think this is all over just a really good thing. And it puts it, it puts the fact that, hey, you have to license this image to people, and you can't just copy, whatever you find online and use it. Like, this is that call to action. There's no more, oh, I didn't know I had to do that, when there's this big licensable, icon there. So I think it's good for photographers, but also it's good for photographers' rights going forward.
Yeah, I agree. This is going to be a big win for I found it online, so it's free, making that a little less likely. And my understanding is if you have a picture online where your copyright is in the EXIF data, I think, or there is some other specific Google markup that needs to be in there. But if it's in the picture already, you've got it. This will be showing up already. And most people, at least most professionals, I assume, have their copyright embedded in the images anyways. So they should be good to go with this change.
Absolutely. I love it. It's good news. That one must be in there double. Digital camera market share 2019. Canon is king. Fujifilm stable fourth. Nikon is falling. Olympus is out. So is this newsworthy? Is this something that we didn't expect to see?
Well, I found it interesting. So, one thing is, this is data from last year. So, this
Sure.
is pre pandemic,
Mhm.
pre Sony, I'm sorry, Canon getting real serious about their mirrorless lineup. So, this is kind of a snapshot of where we were last year before all of the craziness of 2020 started. But what I found interesting is in my head, Sony has been the one that's been racing ahead, but that's just in mirrorless, whereas this is all of the market. And you can see that Canon is actually expanding their lead. And that seems to me that that means there are a lot of people who are still buying low end Rebel SL1s, SL2s from Canon, that their low end strategy is working for them. And that's part of why I think they've been so slow to move to mirrorless. The other interesting one is poor Olympus. We feels like we keep kicking them while they're down, but they dropped off the list. Panasonic is now number 4 in their place. So
Number 5.
again, I feel sorry for them, but
Mhm.
also this was last year. Maybe gives you an idea of why Olympus was looking to sell when the opportunity came up. That they saw this happening even before all of this craziness. So
Right. And honestly, to me, what's shocking is the fact that Canon still has 45% market share. I mean, they own almost half of the market, which to me is just crazy. I thought it was a lot closer. I mean, I think that's definitely something to take away from this. And then also the fact that, Sony with mirror, I mean, they just have mirrorless now. They're at 20% of the market. I mean, that's pretty huge that they were able to come, not only a third brand, and then become number 1 in mirrorless, they're number 2 overall. So,
right.
I mean, that to me is very, very telling.
Yeah, the data I saw for just mirrorless was, and again, this was from last year before Canon really got
Sure.
serious about their mirrorless lineup, but Sony was 40 to 50% of the mirrorless market. So that
Right.
20%, like you said, is really impressive considering it's all mirrorless cameras.
Right. And as more and more people, make that move to mirrorless, there's still quite a few people that are, they don't have a reason to, and there's, it's just they're gonna keep shooting with the mirrors. But I think as more and more people shoot to, go to mirrorless, Canon had to do the R5, the R6 in order to maintain this market share. But I just honestly, I didn't really realize it was this much of a beastly market share. I mean, almost 50%, and it went up 2.4%,
Right.
which is pretty impressive, given their offering. So,
Yeah, looks like at Nikon's expense.
yeah, exactly, down 1.6. So again, interesting read. Just again to keep an eye on the market share and kind of what's going on in the market. I know, obviously the pandemic's going to really, we're going to see a flux. I think we're going to see a flux of people. It's twofold, people buying cameras because they're home and they want better quality in their webcams, or they're starting maybe a creative journey. But overall, I think that you're going to see a restriction with, the professionals that aren't, getting the weddings as much, or there's not as many events going on. So it'll be interesting as we sit next year and look at this data and see, how the pandemic really unfolded and what it did to the market. So moving on, the new Laowa 50 mm f2.8 lens. This is the world's first 2 times macro lens designed for micro four thirds. And Eeyore, we were actually out shooting 2 nights ago, some astrophotography, and this came through, and he was like, "This is a pretty big deal." I mean, the fact that it's the 2 times macro lens for micro four thirds, and there's not a ton of macro lenses as it is for that system. So it's great to see Laowa jumping in here.
Yeah, I think this is the only 2 times macro, so ultra small. Traditionally, macro is when you get to 1 times, which is the exact size of your image sensor is what you're taking, and this is twice that. So you're getting something half the size of your image sensor blown up to the size of your image sensor. So you can, I'm sure, do some really wild photography with this thing. And it's good after kicking Olympus in the last one. Hey, Micro Four Thirds, we're not dead yet.
Exactly.
I'm glad to have some good news for them in this one. And also, I am just fascinated by Laowa and the lenses they put out. They do the super ultra wides, they do the 2x macros, they do that really wild probe lens that you can push into things, and they just have such a fascinating lineup. I always love to see when they have new stuff.
Right. And they've been doing really, really well and doing unique, very unique stuff. And Honestly, I like you said, with the probe lens, people doing photo and video with this too. I just think about the time lapses that I've seen done with, Micro Four Thirds and, again, GH5 video. I just think this opens up a whole new world for those type of shooters. So very, very cool. Moving right along, we have finally Sony launches the new Imaging Edge webcam software. So this is something that we've covered in previous for previous brands. So Canon was the first to come out, and that's now on Mac and PC. Fuji came out with the software, and I guess I should back up. This is software that takes your DSLR and allows you to use it as a webcam, and it shows up so that way you can use it for live streaming and things like that. Panasonic came out with a version. Basically, it was their tethering software without the heads-up display. So it was kind of a way that you could use your camera in order to, kind of get it to show up, but it didn't show up as like a native webcam. Nikon, I'm not sure if I've seen anything for Nikon yet. Olympus, again, I don't think I've seen anything for Olympus. But now Sony did come out with a version that is PC only in order to use your Sony camera as a webcam. So again, the market share, 20% of the market share can now use their cameras as a webcam. So again, awesome, and kudos to Sony, for pushing this out there, because it's going to allow for more people to create better, online content and better, doing things like we did with the conference. It just makes it that much easier.
Yeah, kudos to Sony, but as a Mac user, I used Sony's for a while, and whoever's in charge of their Mac software needs to get more on the ball, because their Mac software has never been good. The instructions for updating a Sony from a Mac, if you need to do a firmware update, are along the lines of sacrifice a live goat, wave a chicken above your head, jump up and down on your left foot, and cross your fingers, and maybe you'll get the firmware update to recognize the camera. Their Mac side of their house is not doing so well, and as a Mac user, that's frustrating. I know we're a smaller part of the market, but you'd think a company like Sony would be able to get it together to get that kind of stuff fixed.
Right.
Okay.
So right now Windows only, and hopefully we'll see Mac coming soon. Again, there's been little talk about it, especially when the ZV-1 came out. They had talked about it being able to be used as a webcam. So hopefully we'll see that for Mac coming soon. Our rumor roundup. Let's see if we get our official rumor roundup music, our Woody's roundup. So our first, continuing on with our Sony love, I guess, is an upcoming A5, A6 entry-level full-frame mirrorless camera to cost $1,000. And this has been rumored for, I want to say, years, that there's been this like A5 or something that is, bigger than the A6000 series, but full frame, maybe rangefinder style. But this is the first time I've seen like a price come out at $1,000 for a full frame camera from Sony. Is something that when I shot Sony back in the day, I never thought I'd see this.
Right. Yeah. And not just the price came out, but within the next couple of weeks. I mean, that sounds pretty soon and pretty good. And again, going back to the earlier slide of, Canon's got close to 50% of the market, and they're probably doing that on their low priced cameras. This, Sony's trying to push their prices down as much as they can. And that's something that historically Sony has done a really good job of, is packing a lot of value into their bodies, like the A7 III that had features that you wouldn't see for $1,000 or $2,000 more. Hopefully they're going to do the same thing here, where they're going to keep the pressure on by packing everything they can in to a really cheap camera body for, get more people into the Sony system.
Right. And this, I think I said, this will be compelling for creators that are just starting out, or maybe, just dipping your toes into the mirrorless market, where you don't have the money to spend, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars for the whole system. Now, maybe you can pick up this for $1,000 and say an MC11 and bring all your Canon gear over, or, get a kit lens and just to kind of sample the system. It's a little bit easier pill to swallow when it's $1,000 versus, 22, 25. And going up from there. So again, it'll be interesting to see how this unfolds. I haven't heard anything at all regarding this, but again, if it's anything like their A7S release, I mean, it's going to make a lot of people super happy.
Yeah, and I'll bet that body combined with some of the new Tamron Sony
Mhm.
E-glass. Those are some great value lenses and a great value body. That's going to be compelling.
Absolutely. Now you were kind of excited about this one. So global shutter, 120 plus megapixel for Fuji GFX 120 and 31 megapixel for maybe a Fujifilm X-H2. Oh, XH2. So first of all, let's talk about what is a global shutter.
Right. So a global shutter, the current CMOS sensors in our cameras, they scan from top right to bottom left. That's why if you watch reviews of new cameras that shoot video, someone will always do that weird test where they wobble the camera back and forth really quick to show you how vertical lines are handled when the camera is moving quickly. That scan results in vertical lines being slanted. So edges of fences and buildings will be on an angle. Or if you're shooting sports and someone is moving really quickly, they might not be, vertical. They might kind of shift in the sensor. And that's because it's a lot cheaper to have the electronics that read, basically scan from one end to the other and have one reader. A global sensor is you have the image sensor, and then behind every pixel, you have the electronics to read. So you get the entire shutter at once. And this has a lot of advantages, especially for video, no more rolling shutter, but for photos, that it helps the depth of field. I'm sorry, not depth of field, depth of colors. It helps noise. It's a much better sensor. And there have been rumors for years that it's coming. The problem with this rumor is it's based on Sony's recently released sensors for industrial uses. And I am not enough of a sensor expert to know if this is just the guy who runs Fuji Rumors wish casting and hoping that these sensors will become the camera sensors, or if he's got a source who's telling him that they actually are usable in cameras as opposed to, again, industrial uses.
Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of people will see, a sensor and just automatically assume that it's for a camera. And there are so many other things. And honestly, the camera sensor business is probably one of the smaller sensor businesses that are out there. When you have all the cameras that are going into automotive, you have surveillance, you have like even assembly line, they're looking for, finite defects on the assembly line, and they can't have slanted images when they're coming in. A global shutter allows them to get high resolution, but also the cleanest and best image possible to make sure that there's no, hairline fractures in, say, a frame for a car, or, anything that's coming through an assembly line. So again, I obviously I'd love to see global shutter and more cameras. I think that, it's again, faster readouts. There's a lot of positive reasons for the global shutter. But again, this looked like it was very much an industrial update. And then, like you said, people wishing that it would come over to, our beloved Fuji cameras.
Well, I got to say that if wishing for a 120 megapixel medium format camera, yeah, I can see why people would wish for that. That would be incredible. But I think they're getting a little ahead of themselves here.
Yeah.
But hopefully I'm wrong.
And while he's putting in wishes, hopefully we can make that affordable.
Well, yeah, of course.
Better. Let's take that Sony rumor of $1,000 and this rumor. We'll put them together. And we'll have $1,000 GFX with a global shutter and 120 megapixels.
And while we're at it, I want a pony.
Pony, go for the unicorn. So this would be a unicorn in the wild. The 7D Mark II being replaced by the EOS M. So I think this is totally plausible. This is something that I am hoping comes true. I'm hoping we get pro level glass for the M system, the M mount. I love the M line. The M6 I took to Florida this year. I took it to Ireland. I took the M5 and the M6 to Ireland. That was the system that I took. Everything fit into my backpack, and I love the M system, and especially that M6 Mark II. It came in with a higher resolution, full sensor readout. It has the frames per second. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's actually really, really competitive to like the 90D. So if they can crank that up just a little bit, I think we're going to see a professional camera, the 7D line, come over to the M line, because the 7D Mark II it's a little long in the tooth. It's the kind of the forefront crop level sensor, or crop level camera, crop sensor camera for Canon. So, those professional sports shooters that want that little bit of extra reach, or they want that size of file, they don't really have an option right now. I mean, it's go with the 7D Mark II, go up to full frame, or go with the set. You could go with the M line, but then you're adapting lenses. It's a smaller body. It's hard to get like a battery grip for them. So I'm really hoping that this is something that does come true.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the second rumor. A few weeks ago, we had the rumor that they were doing a high-end body, and this feels like confirmation of that. So hopefully there is some professional M series bodies coming, or a professional M series body. But more importantly, like you said, hopefully there is some professional level M glass coming to go with it, because that's the one weakness I can see in the M series is they need better glass on the high end.
Absolutely. Moving right around. So some crazy, super wild, whatever, however you want to say this. I wanted to throw this one in here because I think these are just fun rumors to talk about. So a Sony 200 millimeter f2.8. It's supposed to be a more affordable option for those who are looking for good value, for a good value tele prime. So 200-2.8. I believe there's one of those for Canon. That it's a 200-2.8. Interesting focal length, not super long. I mean, you have the 70-200, so maybe this will be a little bit sharper, maybe a smaller. It should be much smaller. But who would that be? Who would that be for? The Canon, that 200-2.8.
So I have to think it is for portrait shooters, the kind of person who uses a 70-200 and likes the extra compression they get from the 200 end, but wants the image quality that you would get out of a prime. Now, I'm a little, well, on the one hand, it's good that if they're doing it as a 2.8, because that will definitely make it more affordable. But I know there are people who have based entire portrait photography businesses around Canon's 200 f2 and just the unique image you could get with that long and that big of a lens. So I'm a little surprised they're going for the 2.8, and not a statement lens. But Sony is usually pretty good about listening to their customers, and maybe they're being asked for it by the professionals. Right. Yeah, we want the 2.8. But in a fixed lens.
Yep. And I'm glad we drug this out a little bit because
Sony. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm fine.
The other thing I have to add is Sony Alpha Rumors has a bad reputation online for believing anything and everything that comes down the pike. And even he is saying these are wild and crazy, and I don't believe them. So take this one with a grain of salt.
Yep. And I'm glad we drug this out a little bit longer because I know Jen was in the chat because I've watched them create just amazing images with the 200 f2 on Canon. Yep. So the Stitz are definitely a prime example of someone that wants that that length, the compression, and that look towards the pros that are looking for this lens. So moving on, another one. I have some news on the ZX1 and RX1. So these are interesting because the RX1 Mark III, basically it's going to have a lower megapixel sensor, and then the RX1, it'll be basically an updated lens, possibility of an EVF touchscreen, and a new body material for weather sealing. So again, interesting. Just some updates that are coming, that some lines that kind of, not that I forgot about, but it doesn't get as much attention than the full frame lineup. And then the last one that I wanted
to release the ZX1 a couple months ago. I remember a big marketing push about it as a vlogging camera.
No, I think you're thinking the ZV1.
You're right. So maybe they're updating the other two to catch up to what they did with it.
Yeah. And then the one that I thought was kind of the most interesting was Sony will bring a press smartphone. It's a hybrid of the RX 100 Mark VII, Xperia 1 Mark II, has a permanent viewfinder, not a pop-up viewfinder, has a flash hot shoe, lots of input, even LAN, and it's Arca Swiss ready. So I'm wondering if this is going to be like Panasonic did this a while ago, where it was like a phone with a lens in it. But then there was also, I want to say Zeiss was doing like an Android camera. I'm just wondering if this is something, I mean, I could definitely see the benefits. I mean, if you're running, especially if it's like the Android operating system and you want to live stream for a, an event that's going on, or you need high quality images while you're there, I could see where having a dedicated press like smartphone would be really, really cool.
Yeah. And I know some local newspapers have been, I mean, and this isn't great, but they've been firing their photographers and telling their reporters, carry an iPhone and take pictures.
Right.
And so that implies to me that that might be the way at least some of the press market is going. So this might be Sony, again, listening to their customers who are saying, yeah, we need a phone to take the pictures with, but we need it to have some of the features of a real camera. So
Right.
who knows? Or
Yeah.
maybe again, wild, crazy rumors, could be making it up.
Absolutely. So moving on to our education and tutorials block. So we had a sad trombone for Adobe first, but let's give them a round of applause for this one. Registration for the online Adobe Max is free this year. So I saw this for another conference for content marketing. They're opening it up for free. But again, if you are looking for some of the best creators, and obviously it's going to be more on the editing type of side, but all of the conference material is all going to be up online for you to stream. I haven't looked to see if they're going to have recorded sessions or anything, but it is free this year. So if you've always wanted to go to Adobe Max and haven't been able to, and that's me, I fall into that category. I've always wanted to go, I just haven't been able to make it work. But I can definitely, I will be tuning in for a couple of my favorite photographers who are going to be presenting at the conference.
Yeah, I've heard great things about this conference, again, from some of the people I follow online. So it'll be, I think I'm going to sign up. I don't know if I'll be able to make it for the whole thing, but just see what they're all talking about. This is your chance. It's free. Why not?
Yep. And it's October 20th through 22nd is when that's going to be happening. So this was a very good article that I found, which was 5 astonishing women doing boudoir photography tutorials on YouTube. So this is one of the areas that I've seen a lot of photographers that are starting to pick up and wanting to add this to their their wedding portfolio, or doing this as just a standalone. So again, some great tutorials, and you can click on that link to find all of those tutorials. But again, I wanted to throw it in there in case anybody was looking to, we've been getting questions about it, and I know at PhotoFest there was some people that I was talking to at the photo walks that were getting started in boudoir photography. So I wanted to put that out there for them. Wow, tell us about this.
Yeah, so this is Air Jaws, I think it's actually a special that's being shown on the Discovery Channel as part of Shark Week to show how they got this picture. But basically, the photographer was being dragged on a sled like inches off the top of the ocean, and you can see some of the spray on his camera lens up in the top left, dragging behind that sled a chunk of meat that, in the hopes of catching a great white shark, breaching completely out of the water to get this picture. And on the one hand, I am just impressed. This is one of those, what are you willing to do to get the picture? You're willing to go a long way to get the picture. And the other one is like, nope, no way, get me out of here. I want nothing to do with this. So and some of the other pictures they have too, I think are even more impressive than this one with the shark completely out of the water. There's just something about that jaws, leaping out with the teeth open at you to it that grabbed me. But I mean, good for this guy, but no, thank you.
Cool to watch. Nothing that I will be doing anytime soon. And there's actually, I think there's even better photos than even this one. So definitely go check out the article. Check out some of the color photography as well. And he has this, Chris Follows. He has, he's been doing, he does a lot of like the Serengeti. He does a lot of like that type of work too. That is really kind of awe-inspiring. So definitely go take a look at it if you need a little bit of inspiration.
Yeah. Although this has inspired me to go out and try to get some pictures of the Lake Erie monster. So we'll see how that
goes. Lemmy, International Garden Photographer of the Year 2020. So you're telling me that there is a competition to take photos in your garden?
Yep. And this is almost the exact opposite of the previous one, where that was inspiring and terrifying. This is inspiring in a wait, I can just head out in my backyard and take pictures that are as impressive as this. So again, the inspiration here is you don't have to go to the South Seas and have great whites jumping everywhere to get a good photo. You can work with what's around you. Go take a look at these pictures and get inspired to what you can do in your own backyard.
Absolutely. I love it. And a great photo that is up on the screen. And if you are just listening, you can actually, if you go to our website and sign up for the newsletter, you'll get a copy of all the links in your inbox. So another thing that is coming up, and it's right around the corner, we are 339 days, 21 hours, and given the screenshot time, probably about 10 minutes, Pixel Photo Fest 2021. So get those dates on your calendar, July 27th through 29th. It'll be in Cleveland. We've already started working away, less than a year until that happens. So we're working hard to get an awesome lineup of speakers, and we will be announcing that very, very soon. So if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, go take a look and get signed up, because it's going to be a kick-ass event. I can promise you that. So if you're looking for other kick-ass events, you can actually check out our website and go to thepixelconnection.com and click on events and classes, and you'll see a full lineup of all the classes that we're doing. We're doubling down on this education side and making sure that we're providing, a way for you to learn and, grow your creative skills. We want to put more tools in your toolbox in order to create. So if you're looking for classes that range from, video editing to lighting basics to advanced Lightroom, those are all on the website, and we would love to have you in store for those. And we are limiting it to, I believe, 4 in store, but we're working on also the possibility of making those online. For anything that we've done online, you can actually head over to our YouTube page, which is youtube.com/thepixelconnection, and you'll see all of these updates and all of the videos that we've done in the past. They are all there for you to consume. So if you want to learn about, how to shape on-camera flash, to, learning a little bit more about a business of photography, definitely take a look at our YouTube channel. If you're not a big YouTuber but love Facebook, you love community, take a look at our Lumix groups, or our user groups that we have. So we have the Midwest Lumix user group, we have the Ohio Olympus users, and the Ohio Fuji fam. So if you would like to hang out with like-minded camera users, just do a search in the Facebook search bar. Yes, the search bar. Just type those in and you'll be able to find them. So like I mentioned earlier, if you head over to thepixelconnection.com, you can actually sign up to get the updates every Friday. So we send out all the articles each and every Friday, so that way you guys can click on all the different things that are going on. Also, if you go and if you do sign up for that, it's a great way, if you miss the live show, to be able to get the all the links to catch up on the news. So I just wanted to a couple of user comments that we had in here. Pam, I've always saved my edited versions back to my phone on iPhoto. I did not notice any loss. Thank you for that feedback, Pam. We have Jim Summers. He has the Nikon 200mm f2, and it takes great rodeo pics. And
lots of love for the 200 f2s out there.
Yeah, I know. I guess I didn't realize there was that many people that use that lens. So good on Sony for putting that out there for us. So, Mr. Vrobel, where can people find you online as another episode comes to a close?
You can find my food writing and photography at dadcooksdinner.com or at dadcooksdinner on most of the socials.
Excellent. And you can find me, if you just search for TJ Houston, you'll be sure to find me. And you can find me throughout the week here at the Pixel Connection, usually from like 9 o'clock till 7 o'clock. Feel free to stop in. Would love to see you. But for now, I'm going to finish my coffee and I'm going to focus on the weekend. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you have a good one.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.